Well, Marvel just dropped a new stack of trade paperbacks, so let's take a look at it. Welcome back to Comics Are Dope. I'm BJ Kicks, and this is my weekly review of the newest stack of Marvel trade paperbacks. These hit the direct market and the book market on January 28th or 29th. So by the time you're watching this, they are absolutely available for you to purchase right now at your local comic shop or your local Barnes & Noble or wherever you buy your books. Now, let's take a look at the stack. We've got quite a few offerings here. We've got Hellverine Resurrection. We've got Jango Fett, Trail of Lost Hope. This one was fun. We've got Jonathan Hickman's Reign of X Volume 2. This does complete Jonathan Hickman's run on the X-Men. We've got a Marvel 2-in-1 Epic Collection Volume 3, Remembrance of Things Past, and we've got the X Factor Epic Collection Volume 10, Wreaking Havoc. So I like to start these off going from thinnest to the thickest, the smallest to the largest, because I'm not always the quickest reader, you know what I'm saying? But I like to focus specifically on the books that are, being collected for the first time. So let's start off with Hellverine. Hellverine, this is written by Benjamin Percy with artwork by Julius Ota, colors by Frank D'Armata, letters by Travis Lanham. Now, you should know that this series does follow up a couple of things. Benjamin Percy's been writing Wolverine for the last 5 years in one way or another. So this kind of follows up. It's basically that same Wolverine. This is not out of continuity or anything. During the Fall of X, there was a Wolverine and Ghost Rider crossover series. And then we also had the Sabretooth War, which was the culmination of Benjamin Percy's time on the main Wolverine title. And both of these have events that are referenced in here. But when a demonic force known as Bagra Ghul first came to Earth, it brought Logan and Ghost Rider together to hunt it before it possessed Wolverine. But what event will put the Hellverine back on the streets? And is he slashing his Hellfire claws for good or evil? Meanwhile, Project Hellfire has unleashed its Hellfire-fueled reanimated warriors, and with Bagra Ghul once again after Logan's soul, who will survive, the Hellverine or the Wolverine? That art by Ryan Stegman is amazing. So this collects Hellverine 1 through 4. Cover price is only $15.99. And so, like I said, this is a follow-up to that Ghost Rider Wolverine Weapons of Vengeance trade paperback. So if you don't have that, go get that. Because like I said, it directly follows up. So much so that I'm only going to cover basically the first 20 pages of this book. But, I'm not super big into horror, specifically demonic or occult horror. So starting off a book with Mephisto is a great way for me to jump off it. But I did stick through this, and I'm glad I did. So what we've got here, we've got quite a few things going on, but what we're looking at is Project Hellfire. Basically, there is some sort of a government agency who has taken over the Pentagon, and what they're doing is they are taking basically what were bad people, maybe even soldiers, and they're taking their bodies and kind of imbuing them with the spirit of Hellfire and trying to basically create their own Hellfire super soldiers, which is super interesting, right? And so we've got this kind of army of hellhounds, if you will. And what purpose are they being risen up for? I don't know. We'll find out, though. Meanwhile, Logan is nearby. And, what we've been seeing is this resurgence of the Hellverine. And everybody knows, you see a dude with claws, it's got to be Wolverine, right? So they're capturing Logan. They're trying to bring him in for questioning. And the interesting twist in here is we're seeing, this Hellverine in action. And, Logan's being questioned. And he basically in this issue is yo, I don't know what you're talking about, but that dude's not me. Whatever you have seen, that ain't me. So then the question is, well, who is this guy? And that question gets answered pretty early on in the book. And I'm not going to spoil it for you. But so the rest of the book kind of hinges on that twist at the beginning of issue 1, so I don't want to spoil that for you. But Hellverine Volume 1, I'm glad I stuck with this. It was a good read, a great read, honestly. Benjamin Percy has always had a great voice for Wolverine. I stuck with his Wolverine and X-Force, even when I was like pretty much like over the whole Reign of X and stuff. That's a great addition to the collection. Now let's take a look at Star Wars Jango Fett, Trail of Lost Hope. This is written by Ethan Sachs with art by Luke Ross and colors by Nolan Woodard with Joe Caramagna on letters. Bro, this was really good. You know, I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan in the world. Like, I love the original trilogy. I'm kind of iffy on the prequels. I like at least The Last Jedi, but it's been a minute since I've seen the sequels. But I really do. My knowledge of Star Wars is basically that first trilogy, and that's kind of it. My wife, on the other hand, is a huge Star Wars fan. So all of the new Star Wars Disney properties, The Mandalorian, you know, Rogue One, all that, she's into all that deep Star Wars lore, as long as it's not like necessarily in a book, right? So this follows Jango Fett, the father of Boba Fett, in an early adventure. I guess this would be set like during the prequels, maybe even before. Someone with more Star Wars knowledge can let me know about that. But this collects Star Wars Jango Fett issues 1 through 4, material from Star Wars Revelations #1. So this was a miniseries that wrapped up last year, and it's being collected for the first time. But basically, there is a very interesting conflict going on, right? So of course, we know Jango Fett is the father of Boba Fett. And it's funny, like this, I'll save my comments for after, but let's take a look. So in the years before the Clone Wars, a lone bounty hunter makes his way through the galaxy one hunt at a time. His name is Jango Fett. So what is this? This would be, I don't know when the Clone Wars take place. Is that like between episode 1 and 2? I guess so. So anyway, this might even be before Star Wars episode 1, but we've got Jango Fett, and he very much is giving Mandalorian vibes. Like, I guess Jango Fett is a Mandalorian, but all these Mandalorians are like, they read the same to me. They're like a race of bounty hunters. And so we are seeing Jango, like, you know, doing his best, like, the Jango impression, right? Like, he's just being an epic bad A dude, right? And at the same time, we've got like this sort of political thing going on where there are these two nations that have kind of been at war, been at odds for a while, and they've got a shared history that used to be a lot better than it is now, right? And so they've got this artifact, and they're at this like big ceremony to, you know, kind of celebrate their peace. And then the artifact is stolen. And so to prevent war between these two nations, you know, they call in the Mandalorian, or excuse me, they call in Jango Fett because they don't want to involve the Jedis, because the Jedi actually have one of these species. This one, the Nautilans. There's Anselmi and Nautilans. And, one of the Nautilans is a Jedi, so they don't want to involve the Jedi. So they've got Jango Fett like, just find whoever stole this artifact. And apparently, did I say the Mandalorian? I say, oh wait, Jango. They call Jango Fett. Jango Fett is not the only bounty hunter they called. So we're seeing like a whole kind of world of bounty hunters going after this because the price is pretty high. And of course, not only is it that there are different bounty hunters after the bounty. So, you know, Jango's got his issues, but Aura Singh is making an appearance, and someone maybe has hired her to stop him as well. And so, you know, I think the Star Wars series is known for being like a space opera. And I think like they've carved out a nice little niche where these Mandalorian stories are like basically space westerns. And so this is like part Western, part heist, and all action. And I'm thumbing through a lot of this. I probably should stop very soon, but I really, really love the art in this book. And like I said, maybe because my wife is such a huge Mandalorian fan, like that's the voice I hear when I'm reading Jango Fett. And I don't mind it. It's very quippy. There's a lot of like really cool stuff here. I also enjoyed like just from the simple fact that there are, what is it? I would call them like different like parallels to like the real world. Like instead of like a piece of cake, they say like, oh, it's a piece of, what is it, Krythdi or something like that? Like some kind of cake from some other galactic planet, right? There was even like a mention of Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift, like kind of thrown in there, not under those names. So just fun stuff with that series. But I really had a lot of fun with this. This might be, between these two, I think the Star Wars book is actually my pick of the week, probably because the demon stuff doesn't fully fit my taste levels. But Trail of Lost Hope, cover price on this was $15.99, and I liked it. A nice little mystery, political thriller, heist, all in one. That was cool. Now let's get into some of the older material that's being collected, maybe recollected. The Jonathan Hickman X-Men run has been collected in so many different ways. We had the Dawn of X and the Reign of X trade paperbacks, kind of anthology paperbacks. We've had the Jonathan Hickman X-Men omnibus is actually right behind me. We've had these thick trades. So this is volume 2 of the Reign of X thick trades. So what this collects is actually the X-Men 10 through 12 from the 2019 series, and then 16 through 21. It does skip over the not the Hellfire Gala, the X of Swords event, which interestingly enough, the omnibus does the same thing. So it's like, if you want the X of Swords event, you got to get the X of Swords hardcover. But X-Men 10 through 12 and then 16 through 21, giant size X-Men Magneto, giant size X-Men Phantom X, and giant size X-Men Storm. So this is the end of Jonathan Hickman's run on X-Men, much to the chagrin of the fan base at the time. That's, Jonathan Hickman's X-Men, I can't say this enough, is what got me like into comics, basically. So anytime I get to look back at this stuff, it's a good day. But yeah, Lionel Francis Yu on this, Ramon Perez, Rod Race, Russell Dowderman, Brett Booth, Sonny Go, Nick Dragata. Ooh, nice. Anyway, special shout out to Tom Mueller. Is it Mueller? Hello, Mueller. Must be Mueller. But he did the redesign of the X-Men during this time. So that new X-Men logo and the general design of like the trade dress and how the interiors look, those data pages, all that stuff. That's Tom. And I don't know, he makes you appreciate the Helvetica font in a whole new way, right? So we're starting things off with the giant size Magneto. What's interesting is like these are always collected in like the reading order, whatever reading order Jonathan Hickman wants it to be in. So it's funny that, wait, maybe that was the cover for X-Men 10. That wasn't giant size Magneto, because this is the table of contents here. I'm just mixing up my X-Men covers. It would help, if I'm honest, it would help if they just had the names of the books on here. Wait, that says Mag 01. All right. Anyway, I have not reread this since the first time. This is definitely the giant size Magneto special. So we got Magneto and Namor. Emma Frost making an appearance. I'm ready to get back to the actual X-Men issues. All right, so here we are during the Empire X-Men storyline. Empire was interesting to me because I wasn't reading the regular Empire event, but there was an Empire X-Men series, which is not collected in here because I don't think it's written by Hickman. But the Empire X-Men 1 through 4 was really dope. At the same time, the regular X-Men were crossing over with Empire. Now here we go. Reign of X, Krakoa. And there we go. Okay. X-Men 11. So the first thing was giant size Magneto. So forget the table of contents. Table of contents not in order. Hickman is what Hickman does, or something like that. Oh man. So this dude was from Araco. This is before the X of Swords event. But what you got to know is like they kind of basically like they found this gateway to Araco, and there's this whole like kind of war that ends up happening. That's what the X of Swords is, and I kind of wish like they had included the crossover. I guess it makes sense because you can't really read X of Swords like just part of it. It's one of those crossovers like in classic X-Men fashion where it's like part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4. But here we are. We're back with the Empire stuff. Okay. But anyway. Okay, here's the giant size Phantom X special. But anyway, so that dude, the Summoner, he's an Iraqi citizen. Iraqi? But anyway, that dude, the Summoner, he comes from like this other world, and you think he's there for one reason, and then you realize, nah, he's there for a different reason, and stuff really jumps off with between Krakoa and Araco. This is the giant size X-Men Storm issue. And that's some interesting stuff. As you can see, Phantom X making quite the appearance here. Always love a good Storm appearance. All right, here we go. X-Men 12. And there we go. This is the Summoner starting to really show who he is. And he is, by the way, the son of someone. I probably shouldn't spoil who he's the son of, right? A Mutant's History of Araco and the Fallen World of Amenth. So we're finally getting like learning more about what Araco is, who the Summoner is, or High Summoner, where he's coming from. And yeah. So that's interesting stuff. And then we skip to X-Men issue 16. So we're done with the X of Swords event. And basically all you need to know now is that because of X of Swords, Krakoa and Araco, which were once two islands, are now back to being one island. And so there's all these mutants that have to like kind of learn to coexist. The X-Men, or the mutants, of Earth, are trying to like live in peace. And the mutants of Araco are like bred for war. And so they don't understand this whole passivity and all that stuff. And it's just a different way of life. And so we're kind of seeing, how they run their things. Like the mutants of Earth have the Quiet Council. The mutants of Araco have their own version of the Quiet Council. And, stuff just, it starts to hit the fan later on in the series. We get the Brett Booth issues here. Very cool. You know what, man? There's also, here we are right here. So my favorite issue in the Hickman X-Men run is probably this one right here. This is X-Men issue 18. And this is when we go into the vault. So apparently the Children of the Vault is a thing that happened in Mike Carey's X-Men run. I didn't read that, but thanks Omar for the knowledge, right? So, but basically we get a team of X-Men going into the vault because the vault kind of made an appearance earlier in the series, and they're trying to like figure out like what's going on. And so they bring, it's Darwin, Sink, and Laura Kinney, X-23. And they go into the vault. And when they go into the vault, they've got to like figure some stuff out. But, the time passes differently in the vault. And so, they're trying to like, basically defeat the Children of the Vault because that's like a threat, a known threat of the X-Men or the Earth mutants' dominance and the existence of Krakoa. But time doesn't pass the same, and things don't necessarily go the way we think they would go. And so they go on this mission and they come back, and somebody doesn't come back with them. So yeah, X-Men 18 and 19 were really cool for that. And I'm gonna try not to spoil stuff completely, but we are looking at the back of the book. But that plot line was something that was super interesting to me. And so when they were like, oh, Jonathan Hickman is leaving X-Men, I'm like, but what about this thing? Like, we left this plot thread open. And lucky for me, lucky for us all, they actually ended up revisiting that when Jerry Duggan took over the X-Men. So this is the Hellfire Gala. I don't think this is the actual Hellfire Gala special, but that is the Hellfire Gala special, because Kevin Feige shows up. So that's cool. And let's look, are there any extras? There are several extras. We got, all the covers are collected in the back because for whatever reason, we didn't want to do it in the middle of the series. So X-Men 11, Giant Size X-Men, Phantom X, Storm. Very good covers. I gotta say, man, revisiting this just makes me dang, I really, really liked this era of X-Men and wish it never had to end. But yeah, if you want to get into this, read House of X Powers of 10, then obviously grab volume 1 of this, and then grab this one. But $39.99 is the cover price on that, and that was Reign of X volume 2. Now, we've got 2 epic collections that you guys know I don't always read the epic collections immediately when I get them. These are more like time capsules that I'll go in and kind of revisit at my leisure. But we got Marvel 2-in-1 Volume 3, Remembrance of Things Past. I do want to kind of thumb through it for you just so you can see it. But starring the world's most endearing pile of orange rocks. This collects Marvel 2-in-1 37 through 52, Annuals 2, 3, and 4, and Avengers Annual issue number 7. So, interesting stuff. Ron Wilson, Jim Starlin, Sal Buscema, and Alan Kupperberg on pencils. Writers, Marv Wolfman and Jim Starlin mainly, but with a who's who of names. And we'll just start thumbing through it a little bit. This would be stories collected from 1977 to 1979. So we're seeing a whole lot of spacefaring because Star Wars just came out and took over the world. So that's interesting. We see the Vision here. Lots of aliens, lots of different species. And then we got the Beast, because the Beast is part of the Avengers and whatnot. So that's interesting. We got this is Adam Warlock. I thought it was Captain Marvel. Whoops. That's why I need to read more. The Thing and Spider-Man, Marvel 2-in-1. Oh yeah, so Marvel 2-in-1, I guess in a way is kind of like the Marvel version of, I guess, like the Batman, the Brave and the Bold, because the Brave and the Bold always starred Batman and then like one other DC hero. And in the same way, Marvel 2-in-1 generally stars The Thing and one other Marvel superhero. So this issue is Spider-Man. Let's just kind of thumb through and see how many different people we land on. That should be fun. All right, so we got The Thing and Daredevil. Thing behind prison bars. Okay, this actually is going to be fun because every issue is pretty one and done, or done in one. Oh, The Thing and Black Panther. Okay. So, yeah, every issue is pretty much one and done. So it's like, who do you want to see? The Thing and Brother Voodoo. Now he's Dr. Voodoo, by the way. It's funny, the more I thumb through this, the more excited I get about it. So that's fun. Let's see, who else is this? Is this The Thing in Human Torch, or is that just a random dude in lava? Got Man-Thing here. Next, Hercules, Prince of Power. The Thing and the Man Called Nova. More galactic adventures. Spacefaring. So that's fun. The Thing and Hercules. Okay. Marv Wolfman, guest writer and editor. Nice, nice. So, I've never read any of Marvel's Hercules. Maybe I should do that. Got the Thing and Captain Marvel. Oh, that was Captain Marvel. I thought he was Captain Marvel. I don't know. I got to read more old Marvel, more old school Marvel. I'm starting to look like a poser in these videos. So that's fun stuff. You get the point. Like if you live through this, then this is going to be super fun for you. If you didn't live through this, you might be like me, and it's like a hit or miss depending on who is in the particular issue. But hey, that's what a table of contents is for. So very, very cool stuff. And I really like the Beast in this era. It just looks really cool. All right. So that was the Marvel 2-in-1 Epic Collection Volume 3. Shout out to Ron Wilson. I think I've told this story on a podcast before, but like I didn't know Ron Wilson was black until I saw him at GalaxyCon Raleigh last year. And I was like, oh, snap. Really? So anyway, X Factor Volume 10, Wreaking Havoc. This collects stories from the years 1995 to 1997. So I would have been 4 to 6 years old in this in this book. So clearly stuff from like my childhood that I didn't necessarily read in my childhood or during my childhood. X Factor 112 to 126, the Sabretooth and Mystique complete miniseries 1 through 4, Marvel Fanfare issue 6, and X-Men Prime issue number 1. So of course this is going to have like peak 90s art. So that's interesting. That's going to be fun in and of itself. It's funny because like some of these I actually have, like just because, you shop at live shows or you go through dollar bins and stuff, and it's like you buy stuff because the cover looks good. And so if there's one thing I can say about 90s comics is that the covers pretty much always look good. And the art does too. Like it's so funny because like 90s comics are now so distinct from everything else. Like from like the advent of like digital coloring. And so like you're starting to see like shading in places you didn't see shading before. And like people kind of flexing like, hey, I know how to use Photoshop because Photoshop exists now. I can go to a library and jump on a Mac and, do my thing. And so we're seeing that, like the whole digital wave into comics. But I love that 90s comics kind of combine the best of both worlds. Like you're seeing digital colors, but still most artists are like hand drawing their art. And so you get like really sketchy lines and really fun stuff that you don't always see in like current comics. I wouldn't say modern because I guess technically this is all modern era comics. That certain Mystique. Interesting. I was about to say, like, where's the cover for this? So X Factor 114. Storm is really, really going through it. Call the man a sadist and everything. And there we go. We got Forge, Mystique. Interesting stuff happening here. Look how blue Mystique is. Havoc. It's a nice Cyclops, pin-up worthy page. So again, I just love these epic collections because they really are like literal comic book time capsules. Like, hey, you want to spend some time in 1995? Grab this book. Look at that. Look at Forge. Quite the 90s ponytail there. Very cool stuff. But yeah, you want to spend some time in 1995, 1997? Grab this one. Did you like X Factor back then? I wasn't reading it. I was still watching Batman the Animated Series and like Barney and all that in 1995. I started kindergarten, so I probably wasn't watching Barney, but definitely a whole lot of Power Rangers. What were you doing in 1995? Were you just graduating high school? Were you out of college? Are you Omar? Were you old? Anyway, That's going to do it for this. I love that cover. That's a very good cover, or a pinup, excuse me. So that's going to do it. Oh, extras. I'll let you find the extras for yourself. Cover price on that one's $44.99. By the way, if you're looking for any of these epic collections, you can always get them at a pretty good discount from our channel sponsor, Organic Price Books. They are the place I love to go for these collected editions. You go to the library or something, get your thin trades, go to your local comic shop, support them. These are inexpensive as it is. So you can grab these, read these stories on Marvel Unlimited, grab them at Barnes & Noble, grab them at your local comic shop, like buy local, right? But for these like thicker books, sometimes you're looking for a discount. I go to Organic Price Books to get all my books. You can use the code BJKicks at checkout. You'll save $2 on every order. Or if you got 4 books or more, you can use the code BJKicks, ship it together. They will ship them all together, and they will give you a book or your order. You'll save 5% on that order. It's early in the morning. I'm not good at this. I'll see you guys in another video soon. Until then, stay safe, stay awesome, and read something dope today. Peace.